use of Optical Character Recognition or OCR programs to convert your handwritten notes into text files isn't something new, but there's still something pretty magical about it. So in this video, I wanted to test how well the OCR transcription built into the Rocketbook app performs under a few different conditions. And to test this, I borrowed the content from some of my favorite magical texts. But let's get started. You can enable Rocketbook's OCR transcription services in two ways. The first is simply through the app settings, where you can turn on Smart Titles and Smart Search. Smart Titles allows the app to recognize text embedded between double hashtags as the title of a scanned file, which saves you from having to manually title your documents during the scanning process. Smart Search, on the other hand, transcribes your entire scan and embeds the transcript invisibly within the file so that you can perform a text search either within the Rocketbook app or wherever the file is eventually stored, provided that location supports in-file searching. Alternatively, you can access the written transcript files by changing the way that your scans are saved within the destination settings. But this only works for a few of the destination services, currently email, Evernote, OneNote, and Google Drive. But I'll get into this a little later. A few things to keep in mind as we get started are that Rocketbook's OCR only searches for letters, numbers, and a few special characters, and it removes all formatting aside from line breaks, so it won't recreate your notes as a Word document, and any of your hand-drawn figures will be absent at best. Also, the quality of your transcript is most influenced by how neat your lettering is, so you can look at the different samples I'll show, but your best bet will be to try it out for yourself by downloading Rocketbook's free printable pages that can be found within the app settings. To test the accuracy of Rocketbook's OCR transcripts, I wrote out 4 samples to test all caps, sentence case, cursive writing, as well as numbers and special characters. Then I had 3 family members write out the same samples in order to see how the neatness of our handwriting may influence the results. To quantify the accuracy of the transcripts, I used an equation from an OCR testing publication, which calculates the percentage of characters that you don't have to correct after scanning. Overall, Rocketbook's character recognition performed well, with average accuracies of 98% for all caps and sentence case printing, 73% for cursive writing, 100% for numbers, and 58% for special characters. It's worth noting that for cursive writing, the accuracy was low because it completely failed to recognize this one sample, but was 97% accurate in the others. Similarly, for the special characters, I found that the basic punctuation like periods, commas, and colons weren't recognized when they were placed on their own, but showed up fine if they were embedded in a sentence, which caused my test to have a lower accuracy than expected. The special characters on the number keys from a standard QWERTY keyboard did show up consistently though, even when they were on their own. In addition to testing the accuracy, I also wanted to assess a few real-world use cases. Keep in mind that the text I show is exactly as it appeared in the transcript prior to any corrections. In the first block, we can see that Rocketbook's OCR does its best to ignore drawings that are placed next to text, though you may occasionally end up with some gibberish if it mistakes part of your drawings as characters. As we can see here, it mistook the circle in the drawing as the letter O. The next sample highlights this as well, but with more issues because the figure actually had text within it. I think it would be neat if you could indicate a part of your note as a drawing or figure using a special character sequence or a box so that it could be ignored from the transcript or even cropped out and placed in line with the transcript at its final destination, but that's probably wishful thinking. In the third block, we can see that getting too fancy with our title layout by switching sizes and line placement can also mess up your transcript because the OCR program searches line by line. Surprisingly though, it was able to capture vertical and angled text, though we can see that item number 4 here jumped ahead of number 3 because it started on a higher line. I also tested 7 different colors of friction pens, and all of them were recognized, with only a few minor mistakes, so you should be fine if you like to add some color to your notebook, but I would recommend sticking to higher contrast colors just to be safe. Another thing you may be interested in transcribing is multi-column notes, but unfortunately you're out of luck here, as the OCR program just blends each line together. Finally, when it comes to transcribing equations, you're probably okay as long as the math is very simple and you stick to single line expressions that only use x as multiply and / as divide, because more complicated operators like the traditional divide symbol and multi-line items will be lost or misinterpreted. As you can see from these examples, you're likely to get a few mistakes in each transcript, so I wouldn't count on a complete text backup of your notes without having to make at least a few corrections. I find it particularly frustrating when part of a sentence gets misplaced within the transcript, because it's less obvious to correct than a simple spelling mistake, but hopefully this will get better over time. Personally, I don't use the full text transcription options with the destination settings, but I do use Smart Titles and Smart Search regularly to title and search my weekly bullet journal entries. If you're interested in the full text transcripts though, they work a little differently depending on which destination you use. For email, you can either have the transcript appear as the body of your message, accompanied by the scan attached in either JPEG or PDF format, or you can opt to have the transcript accompany your scan as a separate .txt file. Alternatively, if you're using Evernote or OneNote, the transcript can be sent as a single file with your scan, in which case they appear together within the same note or page, or you can send them as two files, where the transcript and the scan file each become their own note or page. You also have the ability to bundle your scans, in which case all of your images scanned together will come into the same note or page. For Google Drive, you have the same 1 and 2 file options, where you'll either get a .docx file that contains the scanned image above the transcript, or the transcript alone in a .docx file, as well as your scan as a separate JPEG or PDF. All in all, Rocketbooks OCR transcription services are a pretty neat addition to an already useful note-taking system that I really like. And though they aren't perfect yet, they can be useful for basic notes and lists if you have neat handwriting, as well as for titling and file lookup. So I would recommend that you give them a try. As always, if you found this video helpful, please hit the like button, consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time.